there were some cruel people around. So,
Yeah.
but anyway.
So when did you start working at? Remember you worked in that place that you steamed clothes? Is that right?
I worked as a nanny first.
Yeah.
I finished school at 14 at Carina School.
I've been to Carina. I've been to there for Dad's reunion.
Hmm?
I've been to Carina for Dad's reunion.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you go to the same school?
Oh, yes. Howard and I used to walk from Pine Mountain Road where we lived. We cut across the paddocks, which was a bit easier. And we walked, as I say, he was only 8 and I was 11. And we walked that road back and forwards. It would have been a mile anyway, and it was an awful road. It was rough. There was 2 big hills. Those 2 big hills that are along there now been cut down
Have they?
to what they used to be. And you'd have bullocks coming along. The drovers would be bringing bullocks along.
With the logs?
Or sheep.
Yeah.
And they'd be on their horses and driving them along.
And you'd have to clear off the road?
Yes, I'd say I was terrified, and I used to say to Mum, "There's bullocks coming, Mum, there's bullocks coming," and we'd whiz, and there's barbed wire fences either side. And
bullocks are huge.
And big horns.
Huge, yeah.
And we used to, nearly every time we went along you'd meet them. The sheep weren't so bad, but you still got off the road out of their way because there'd be a big pack of them.
Yeah.
And Howard and I were going to school along there, and we had to do that. We'd hop into the yard, either paddocks either side of Creek Road. Just was mostly when we got near sort of where Carindale shopping centre is now.
Yeah.
But we went to Carina School. I went for 3 years, and Howard went for 6 years.
Yeah.
So
you went till you were 14, from 11 to 14. So they didn't start at a particular age?
Well, I wasn't here then. See, we were living in Pine Mountain. I was born in Kilcoy, and we left Kilcoy. I went to the Kilcoy school, but that was one of the older girls took me one day. I can remember that day.
Yeah.
But I was only 4.5 when we left there, and we shifted down. Well, the Depression, there was no... my father was a builder, and he had a sawmill, which he lost, and everything, and we shifted down to... we lived at Ascot when we first came down, just for a short while.
Yeah.
And I went to Ascot School. I was only 4.5, I think. And then as soon as we shifted, and we were living in a boarding house in Wharf Street, and in those days it was that was the rough part of the city, you know.
So you had the whole family at the boarding house?
Yes.
And who else was in the boarding house?
I wouldn't know who was there, but there was
there other
Dad
families?
and Mum and us 4 kids.
Was there other families staying there?
Well, I don't know, there could have been. Could have been people that were working in the city, or...
Yeah.
I was too young to remember anything like that, but then, see, Auntie had this house and there was tenants in it, because she worked in a big property at Longreach, and she was paying it off with her work. She was a nanny out there when she came out from Scotland, and then when the kids got big, she was there for years. They thought the world of her. And then as the kids got past needing a nanny, because then they were sent to boarding schools later on when they got bigger, and she was sort of teaching them a bit when they were little, but then got past her knowledge probably. And then she became their cook.
Yeah.
Because she is a good cook.
So how did you become a nanny? Hey.
Well, as I say, I went to school till I was 14 at Carina.
Yep.
And, well, funny thing, when Sandy, you probably didn't meet Sandy, she used to come in for a few hours at respite.
Yeah.
And of course, when they had quizzes, I'd answer a lot of questions. I'm not skiting or anything.
No.
But it's probably because I read and I watch things and...
Do your crosswords.
And that. Hello, Abby. Come on, just sing for a minute. Come on. And she's starting to purr. Hello,
Yeah, she is.
Come on. And she said to me one day, because I'd answer a question, and she said, Betty, give somebody else a chance. And Annie said to me one day, I can remember sitting there, you had your hand on your mouth, and I'd say to Annie...
She knew all the answers?
Out of the corner, because Annie wasn't there, I didn't know the answer so much, and I'd say to Annie the answer, and then she'd say... and Sandy said, Betty, she said, what education did you have? You must have had a very good education. I said, well, Sandy, if you can call... I went to Carina School up there, and I said, from up until I was 14, and I was in grade 7, and then I went to work. And she just looked at me. I don't know whether she believed me.
Yeah.
Because I was able to, I seem to have a bit of knowledge, not because I'm clever, but I did very well at the school. But anyway.
But you're obviously intelligent. I think that doesn't matter how far you go in school. If you're intelligent, you're going to soak up information anyway.
I always say it's only common sense, a lot of things.
Yeah, that's true. But not everyone has common sense.
No, well, that's probably a lot of you still got to know. Like one question they asked, what's the bay up at the top of Canada? Well, nobody knew that, but I did. It was Hudson Bay.
Well, I wouldn't know that. But you're very good at geography, aren't you?
I love geography. I hated history, and I love geography and maths. Maths is one of my...
Yeah.
And still is. Still is. I can still beat your father counting up when we play cards.
So, what age did you meet Gang then?
Oh, 17 probably. But I went... Mum took me into town. I had to get a job. Mum couldn't keep me, I was 14 and home. And she took me to town. They had, like Centrelink is now, they had little sort of private places you went to and you had to pay. I don't know how much or anything like that. And the only job that was sort of suitable, because I had to walk almost a mile to go, into town or anything. And it was this lady that come from Deniliquin down in Victoria wanted a nanny for a little girl, Janet Armstrong.
Is that where you got the name Janet from?
No, my mum was Janet.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's where Janet and Auntie Anne, I called Janet after Mum and Auntie Anne.
Yeah.
And but anyway, I got this job, nurse girl, for this little tiny thing. I was only 14, and they up on the top of Albion, there, Albion?
Yeah.
There used to be a huge boarding house. It wasn't like a house, it was a big building. And they were stopping there, and I had to go up there and I had to stop there. Imagine me, I'd never been away from my mother before.
Scary. It's a big responsibility at that age.
Yes, a little tiny girl.
How old
and she was 18 months.
That's a huge responsibility.
And it was a big dining room with quite a lot of people that stopped there, possibly a lot of country people. And if she wanted to go to the toilet and you'd be sitting at the meal, she'd go like that. And I'd have to hurry up and grab her and take her to the toilet. She'd been trained early. And then they drove out to her parents, lived at Wyandra, which is between Charleville and Cunnamulla, is Wyandra.
How long did you have to look after her for? Was this overnights as well?
Yeah, this was all 24 hours.
Oh my God.
Yes. I got, I think, a half a day off.
Oh my God.
A week. Yeah. And then they had to drive so many miles to Rosehill, or Rosehill, it's a long time, where her people lived. I mean, social money, plenty of money, lovely people. She had.
So they only had their daughter for half a day a week. Is that right?
No.
They only had their daughter for half a day a week, though.
No.
No.
Janet.
Yeah.
No, I was there looking after her. They were there too.
Oh, okay.
They lived there too.
Yeah.
They were stopping there because they were on their way to Rose.
But they only looked after her for half a day.
Hmm?
They only looked after. You did everything.
No, I did for 24 hours a day. I was sort of doing it. Well,
That's
I had
amazing.
Not so much perhaps at night because there was a room out on the veranda where I had to sleep.
Yeah.
It wasn't probably near Janet. I mean, it's so long ago I can't remember it all. But I had it all the time. I'd have to feed her at the meals and, take her to the toilets.
It's a big responsibility.
And all that sort of stuff. And then they were going out to Rosevale. I think it was Rose Hill. I can't remember. Out to Wyandra anyway. And they were driving. They had a truck, a utility, a nice one.
Oh, sorry. If you just ignore her, I reckon she'll stay.
Hello. Hello. You want that bit of biscuit? Look, here's a bit of biscuit for you. No, she's fed enough. She's.
Oh, Abby, you're a funny little thing today, aren't you?
She'll be right.
So, tell me about when you met.
Well, then we had to stop overnight at Warwick, and because all this, I'd never had anything like that in my life before. We'd lived out there, had nothing, never went to anything, or never went to town. Just went to the school and back. And
yeah.
On Sunday we'd walk up in the mountains, could see the beach. We never went to beaches or anything.
Mm.
No, nobody had any money.
No.
Anyway, we went out there and stopped out there because her younger daughter, Mary Hill, their name was Hill, her parents, Mary Hill was getting married.
Yeah.
I can't remember how long, I think it was a couple of months we were out there. So I had to mind her, and I had to sleep in this room with this Violet. She was in her 20s, and she smoked, and she probably drank, and maybe got out with the men that were the jackaroos and all that sort of stuff.
She's a wild girl.
I was only 14 and I didn't know anything about it. I was such an innocent. And the jackaroos were always lovely. They brought me big ostrich or emu eggs in to show me, and they realised I was only so young. And then we came down, I think we come back by train, I'm not sure, and stopped in a house, the Green Slopes. It was just on the hill there, up from the main Logan Road. And everybody was stopping there for the wedding. Yeah. Even the Governor of Queensland came. Sir Leslie Wilson was the Governor then, and they had a party there. They had parties here, there and everywhere for Mary getting married. And I had Janet in the lounge room, and he came in, was sitting there, and he was bouncing her on his knee, and he was talking to me, and I was so proud to think I'd talk to the Governor of Queensland because I was such an innocent. Yeah. I really was. I didn't know anything. Anyway, and I used to have to live in the same room as Violet. One night I woke up to find we had a hand basin in the corner, and she was stuffing her pillow. She'd been smoking, and the pillow went on fire. Oh, I still remember that. I used to think, I think I was a bit scared.
She's wild. She's too wild.
Yeah, well, she was to me. I didn't know anything about these sort of things. Anyway,
Violet sounds like a wild name.
Hmm?
Violet sounds like a wild name.
Yeah, well, yeah. I suppose Violet was a popular name in those days when she was born. And after the wedding was over, well, everybody went back to their own places, and they wanted me to go with them down to Deniliquin. Mm. I wanted my mum. Yeah. I just wanted my mum.
How long had it been since you'd seen her?
Well, I think I got a half a day off. Probably when I was stopping there, I can't remember because I would have had to walk all the way out to Pine Mountain Road anyway. Mm. And I can't remember details, but her sister, Kath Dickenson, lived in Clayfield, Bayview Terrace it was, come from where the terminus was along. Mm. She had a 2-storey house there because they're all money. And Mrs. Armstrong wanted me to go down to Deniliquin, and I don't think I think Mum might have said no, she didn't want me going on that way. And Mrs. Dickenson spoke up and she said, well, Betty, if you're not going to go with Mary, you can come and work for me if you like. She had a little girl, Pam, who was a little bit older than Janet, not much. So I ended there with them for some time until one day I was washing up at the sink and staring out, and tears are streamed down, and Mrs. Dickenson said, what's wrong, Betty? I said, nothing. She said, you're homesick for your mum, aren't you? I said, I was.
Yeah, of course.
I'd been with my mum all my life, and I was
Yeah.
only a kid. I was a real kid. 14, they're not
Yeah.
kids. But I was a real kid, you know, and anyway, she got in touch with Mum
Yeah.
and said I was just too homesick.
Yeah.
So I ended up back at home, and Brenda, you know Brenda
Yeah.
Johnson,
Yeah.
her mother died suddenly with a stroke,
Mm.
and Mary, her sister, who lived there, and her husband, and Ray was only 18 months, she couldn't do much at all. She was a nervous wreck. I think she'd been thoroughly spoiled by her mum and dad too. And anyway, so one day I had toothache. I had a sock with hot salt in it round my face. Oh, I used to get terrible toothache. And I said to Mum, and which is a rare thing, she said, I happened to be out where the window was, because they built our house in the meantime out there. So finally it was, we weren't living in a hut, we were living in a house.
Yeah.
And I said to Mum, there's a truck coming down Pine Mountain Road. Nobody had cars along there.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I said, oh, it's coming into our place. Mum said, I wonder who it is. Well, it was Louis, that was Mary's husband, Brenda's sister's husband. And he come to see if I'd go and work there.
Really?
Yeah. At the house to help. So that's where I learnt to cook and
So they
do
wanted
washing.
you to do. Were you being a nanny as well as doing all the duties?
Well, yeah, I looked after Ray. I bathed him because I used to bath him on the table. And one day he peed on me. He did. He was a beautiful little boy. I loved him very much. But he was,
How old were
cheeky.
you at this stage when you went to work for them?
Well, I probably was only 15.
Yeah.
And that's where I first met Gang, but not at that stage. I used to hear him whistling, and I've told you that story how I used
Yeah,
to
tell me again.
read Sails in the Sunset.
Yeah, tell me again.
And you asked me at David's 50th birthday party. Remember that?
I do remember it.
Yes, and I said, well, he was next door, but I mean the house wasn't next door, it was well up. And every afternoon he'd milk the cow, which Mrs. Bowes had given him, given his mother this calf because they
Yeah.
were very poor. And of course by this time it had a baby itself, and he used to milk it, and he always whistled Red Sails in the Sunset. Yeah. He was a good whistler,
Yeah.
and I used to be sort of looking out the window.
How old was he?
Well, he's 3 years older than me, 3 and a
Yeah.
quarter years older than me, so he would have been probably 19.
When you were 16?
I was 16, yes.
And so did he
I
ask
was
you
there
out?
for quite a long time. Yeah, well, he was working for this milkman, Archie Nicol, and Colin was too. And because there's no jobs for them, you know, it was a terrible time. And he came round this, and Mary had to pay the bill, so I can remember giving him the money. And then we talked a bit, and then, well, then I think every week he came then,
Yeah.
you know, and I'd pay him for Archie. And he asked me out, and
How did he ask you out?
I can't remember, a long time ago. I'd been out with a couple of boys. Brenda and I went on. See, Brenda was there, and we were good mates. We'd been in the same class at school. And we went on a double date one time, and and I wasn't interested. I didn't know anything about life. Not
Yeah.
a thing even then. All my mother said when I got my periods, and I was 14 before I got my period, was don't ever let any man, not even your brothers, touch you. That was all she said to me.
Wow.
Yeah, there was, well, that's all that mothers
Yeah.
did in those days. And I didn't know.
I suppose it was all
anything
very
about
mysterious.
life.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even know. I don't think I ever thought about where babies come from, how they got there, and all that sort of stuff. And never.
Yeah.
We were so innocent. Brenda too, and they used to have these detective books. They used to have romance books, and they had the detectives, and they had these pictures always in the back for men that were wanted for murder, different thing. And I can still see us this night. We were in the kitchen. Louis was there and Mr. Bowes, Brenda's dad, was still there. And we were in the kitchen and I was reading this book and saw this about, this man, and said this man was wanted for rape. And I said, Mary, what's rape? Just ordinary like that. And she went, and then later she got Brenda and I in. Brenda didn't know either.
Yeah.
Took us in the bedroom and explained what rape was.
Wow.
I could have been 16, 17 then.
Yeah.
That's how innocent we were in those days. Anyway, so I started going out with that gang and...
Do you remember where you went on your first date?
Probably the pictures. So that was the only part. Oh, we used to go to the dances. See, Brenda and I used to go up to the dances at Korean school all the time. Every Friday, I think it was, they had them. And the school had had them one Friday, and the Labor Party had had them the other one, because Gang's father was a real Labor man, and so was Gang. I don't stick to that now. I just pick whoever I'm not the party, just who I think
who
doing
you like.
A good job and I like, that's all. But I always did what I was told, and when the Gang was around I'd say, well, who do I vote for? And each time it was always Labor. We used to go up there and the Gang couldn't dance, and we'd be dancing, and he said, blow this, he'd be standing at the door watching, and him and Cecil went down to Cooperoo School of Arts. They were teaching dancing down there. And they both went down there and learnt to... Well, Mum had taught us a bit at home, but Gang hadn't been there. That was when we were younger, She'd teach us to waltz. Jimmy Harrison even said at my party about that. He said, I remember when Mrs. Pat had the foot marks, sort of where you put your foot in there when you waltz. Yeah. Out on the veranda. They'd done it in chalk or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's clever.
And we had the gramophone, and so he used to come down at Sunday night or something. He was mates with Howard.
Yeah. There's a lot more romance back then, wasn't there?
A lot more
romance. Just the idea that people go to dances together and you dance a proper dance.
Yeah, the waltzes and the gypsy. We used to have fun.
I bet.
Oh, we did, because there was other kids there that we went to school with, and Dolly Ender's my friend that was I wasn't friends with Brenda, friends with them, but I mean she had another friend, and I had Dolly when we were at school, and then of course over the teen years you sort of split up a bit, but I was friends with Brenda because I was stopping there for could have been a couple of years, and I'd go home at the weekend sometimes if we were going somewhere to a dance.
Abby, what's wrong? What's wrong?
She said, I'm lost, I like my own home.
No, she does this around our house as well. She's got this little stuffed rat, this little stuffed mouse.
Oh.
She carries it around and hunts it all the time. She'd walk around with it in her mouth going, and then the other night she came in and she had a pigeon. Like she'd gotten out and she just found it dead on the road, but she came in and pretended that she'd caught it and came in like, look at me, look what I've done. I'm so clever.
My cats used to do it, to kill them and bring them and take them under the boys' beds.
Oh yeah, well it's a present. It's a if a cat comes in and brings you a dead animal, it's like an offering to you, saying,
I had a snake once.
Oh.
A little snake.
Dead or alive?
Oh, well, I don't know.
In various stages of death.
Mice, for rats, cats, and they'd always go under the boys' beds, and I'd have to get under and get them out. They'd be dead by that time.
Yeah. I'm going to switch this off, but before I do... Say hi.
Is it a camera?
Yeah, it's a video camera.
Oh.
Say hello.
Hello.
Pull a face.